Welcome back to the Other Side of 45 podcast. I'm your host, Randy Black. This podcast is about taking chances, owning my mistakes, addressing generational family trauma and curses, completing my 50-50 by 50s list, my life as a single nester, and speaking to others who have similar backgrounds and who want to share their story. If this is your first time listening, welcome. Please subscribe and rate this podcast 5 stars. In this episode, I am addressing the strong, independent woman. There was or is a video circulating on social media regarding women calling themselves strong, independent women and how detrimental it is for the woman and society. Now, I'm not going to address the ridiculousness of how being a strong, independent woman affects society, aka the patriarchy, because, honey, my opinion on how destructive the patriarchy has not and will not change. The video that's making the rounds again was of April Mason. She's a dating coach. April Mason is a self-proclaimed feminine lifestyle strategist and founder of All Things Feminine app. Miss Mason posted, "Please don't address me as a strong, independent Black woman. It is not a compliment." In 2017. It went viral in 2017 and again in 2019. I'm not sure if it was viral in 2019, but she mentioned it came up again in 2019, but here it is again. It has resurfaced. So I want to play you the clip that I have been seeing.
A strong, independent Black woman is not a compliment. I never hear a man that is raising children alone say, "I'm mom and dad." He never becomes overly feminine because he's raising children. But we as women become overly masculine because we are raising children, because I'm mom and dad and I got to do all these things, right? And now I put extra stuff on me and then I say, "Ain't nobody helping me." Well, nobody told you to do that. There is help available, all because I was trying to overcompensate for what daddy wasn't doing. I didn't have to be mom and dad. Now they got Mr. Chris and Mr. Eric over here. And I took them to be a part of different organizations because when you think of something strong, you do not think of coming to the aid of it. So when we are looked at and walk around as strong, what we're putting out is, I do not need assistance. I don't need your help. So anytime a man says, "Oh, I love it, you're so strong," I said, "No, I'm not strong. I'm resilient. I'm not independent. I'm interdependent." Because nobody ever comes to the aid of the strong person. So when I'm around men, my wrists are broke. Please do not.
Okay, so listening to that clip, it just, honey, my blood was boiling. I was like, okay, here we go again, attacking women for being independent. Now, I agree, words have power. I don't believe that being called a strong, independent woman stops people from hating you. She literally said that people don't come to the aid of people who are strong and independent. That's ridiculous. Okay, so I will say at the beginning of this is not an attack on April Mason. Believe it or not, despite me really not liking the language that she uses, I agree with a lot of her points. So, like her, she said she created a community for her children. She was a single mom of 3 kids. I did the same thing. I created a community because I was not from Metro Atlanta, and I had 2 siblings here who were very problematic, but did help me with my kids. But I had to go outside of that because there was only so much that the 3 of us could do. So I created that community, and those in my community didn't say, "Well, we ain't gonna help you because you appear to be strong and independent." Man, I have had people in my circle or community, I call it both, and so they have offered, and I've asked, they've picked up my girls. I've had people buy me and them lunches, and there were times where some even helped me by giving me money to help me pay my bills. So, but yes, words have power, but like they say, actions speak louder than words. So if I say I'm a strong, independent woman, but when someone offers to help me, I accept that. That doesn't diminish how I see myself or how others see me. Now, she has a problem with the verbiage. Like I said, she and I just don't agree with that. Whatever. In the clip, she says that people don't think of strong, independent as needing aid. Again, I disagree. And I also think it's a bit of a misogynistic view. Men are naturally seen as strong and independent. It's actually considered masculine. She also mentions being masculine. As a strong, independent man is normal, even expected for them to be so. So then tell me this. Why aren't men who ask for help no longer considered strong or independent? Why is it okay for men to not only ask for help, receive it, and no one bats an eye? I'm going to give you an example. And I'm going to give this example because this was one that was posted online, but it was in the framework of a woman. So if a man is moving his home to another home, and he asks his male friends to help, like he's like, man, can y'all help me there? He gets help moving the couch or other heavy or big pieces of furniture. Why is he no longer considered strong and independent? I literally saw someone comment that if a woman accepts help from a man with a heavy box, so this was the example, a woman, there was a heavy box, and she couldn't lift it, she couldn't get it, and they were like, women do need men, so you want to be strong and independent, and why you need help with this box? And the person who posted it said they wouldn't help because she considered herself a strong and independent woman. And the idiot men in the comments were like, yeah, they want to be strong and independent, you lift that heavy box. If she needs him to help lift the box, then she should know that she needs a man and she's not strong and independent. How is it though that men get help with boxes? They get help with furniture. So does that mean they also need men? Can they also say, well, I am no longer strong and independent because I had my friends help me with this furniture? So it's ridiculous. For me, it's proof of the ridiculousness of the patriarchy and the double standard. But honey, that works both ways. Another point she brings up is that women consider themselves mother and father. Now, I'm going to go into that. I'm going to save that for another episode, maybe close to Father's and Mother's Day, because I actually agree with her on that viewpoint. So these were my thoughts when the video clip appeared on my social media. And I was just curious how viewers were responding to that clip. So I read the comments. That's when I understood more of what Miss April Mason was saying. Before doing this episode, I researched her. I listened to a few of her videos. I scrolled through her Instagram. Now, I don't agree with a lot of what she says, and I'm not a supporter of dating coaches. I do agree with some of her content. Now, she and I do have similar values. What I found interesting is she talks about being soft and feminine, but she says that while she's on the ATV. I love that. Now, I'm not going to touch on the whole laundry list of things I disagree with, most of which is just the language that she uses. So let's go back to that clip I played. And I read, like I said, I read it in the comments, and those comments is what changed my view a bit. So there were commenters that talked about women that identified themselves that they knew as strong and independent, but they were refusing help. See, that just took me out. And I said, why would a woman, a single woman in particular, because April Mason was a single mom raising 3 kids, refuse help when offered? And then I was reminded of my own family of independent women. And that takes me back to when I was separated from my ex-husband and I was filing child support. And I remember speaking to the women in my family, in particular my mother and her sister. The mother and her sister were discouraging me from filing for child support. And it was a very contentious conversation, and I was lost. And I couldn't understand why they wanted me to struggle more. I was like legitimately confused. See, in their eyes, it was to prove that I could do it by myself. And they boasted that they didn't seek child support from their exes. And then I would counter and say, I didn't have these kids by myself, and this money is really for them. And it was to help support them. Now, I couldn't make him stay. I couldn't make him be a father. I can't make him be involved. But I can do whatever I can in my power to make sure that he helps financially, albeit very little. And honey, I'm talking very little. We talking less than $2 per day per child. And I am not even a little bit joking. I have the actual receipts. Because my ex-husband lied about his income so that the child support order would be less. He's a deadbeat, period, point blank, deadbeat dad. But this episode is not about him. I just want to get that out. Now, can you imagine your mother and the women in your family, the ones who are supposed to be guiding you during the most difficult part of your life, advising you not to seek your children's father for help financially? Honey, they didn't advise, they were downright against it. It was brutal. They basically attacked me and told me how horrible I was for asking for child support. and how great they were for doing it alone without financial assistance of the non-custodial parent. But honey, I stood up for myself and I filed. So I understood where April Mason was coming from. This is what we were taught. As I reviewed more of her content, she mentioned that those before us encouraged us to be strong, independent women, but she too believed that when you know better, honey, you do better. Just recently, a good friend of mine was approaching her 48th birthday, and I did get permission from her to share this story, even though no one's going to know who she is. And my 48th birthday is coming up on January 10th, and she knows that. So anywho, she was approaching her 48th birthday, but she wasn't particularly excited about her birthday, which I totally understand. I'm not particularly excited about mine either. It's not like I'm mad that I'm turning 48. It just wasn't like, oh, I got a birthday. It's going to be great. I'm 48. It's just not like that. And then also, I don't celebrate my birthday but every 10 years. So my next celebration will be when I turn 50. And on my birthday, on January 10th, 2023, I will post pictures on my IG of my 40th so you can see. It wasn't that great. I did, people in my circle did several different things, and it was a big celebration because I was a big 4-0. Anywho, her reason for not being excited about her birthday was not the same as mine. Mine was, okay, 48. Hers was more of she's dealing with being a newly single parent. She has 2 sons, and her son's father, her son's father, child I can't even speak, is not living in the U.S. anymore. He literally moved out of the country, left her with the boys. So she's bringing her sons along with very minimal financial support from their father. And I'm not going to give too much of her information, but, she did discuss with me how bad things were financially. So yeah, her situation completely different from when I was rearing my children alone. So my ex-husband was in the United States. Her children's father is not. So getting child support for someone living outside of the U.S. is not easy. You have to get an attorney. I looked it up. We looked it up. We talked about. So she was stressed about money, balancing work and family, and then the mental hold that he still has on her. Just a whole thing. But this balancing, having problems with money and balancing work and family, I'm very familiar with. And I asked her if she wanted to get together for dinner, even something low key, just to acknowledge and celebrate her birthday. But she declined. And she said, she was like, I just don't even want to acknowledge my birthday at all. So I backed off. You tell me you don't want to do something, honey, I'm not going to press it. I'm going to leave you alone. She's my friend. She needs time. Boom, bye, I'm gone. Now, she's one of the few people that I would spend on the phone talking to hours and hours and hours. Anytime she knows she can contact me. If I'm available, I'm on the phone, we're talking. And we do this regularly, like weekly, several conversations, actual conversations, not just text messages. And her birthday was on a Saturday. She called me on a Sunday, where the girls were still in college, back at their dorm. So this was one of the rare Sundays that I had off. I usually only get 2 Sundays off a month, so I work a lot. And I kind of use that one Sunday to, run my errands, grocery shopping and stuff. I don't know why I had to say all of that. I'm squirreling back to the one. So she was doing the same. And we both shop at same places, Kroger's, Aldi's, Target, whatever. So I knew she was out and about. We were talking. I said, hey, meet me at Aldi's. And we met. We talked for a little bit. When it was time for us to go, I handed her a card. We hugged. We went our separate ways. A few hours later, she calls me about the $50 gift card she found inside the birthday card. It was a $50 gift card to Kroger. So she went for just a few moments, maybe 60 seconds or so. I don't know. About, you shouldn't have done this. And she go on and on and on and on. And I let her do her thing. I didn't interrupt her. And after she got it all out, I said, you can just say thank you. So listen, I told her this story. Years ago, a colleague had done something nice for me. Honey, I don't remember who she was, what she did. Could have been a gift card, dinner. I don't remember what she did. But this is what I remember, and this is the point of the story. She did this nice thing. And immediately after, I went on and on how she shouldn't have done this for me. And I know in that space and during that time that I had a hard time accepting things from people because I thought they were looking at me as less than. And so those were my insecurities, and I was expressing those to her. So I went, blah, 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 you shouldn't have. And she let me get it out just like I let my friend get it out, because this was a lesson that I learned. And then I was sharing this story with my friend. I said, she let me get it out uninterrupted. She responded to me after I did all my blubbering. And she said, it's okay to just say thank you. I will never forget that. I don't remember who she was. I don't know what she did, but I will never, ever forget that lesson. It's okay to just say thank you. Look, when people do something nice for us, they already know they don't have to do it. They know at that time their gesture isn't going to get you out of your situation. But at that moment, they thought of you. They thought of us. And the appropriate response is thank you. And sisters, I try to remember that. I accept the gift, the help, and I say thank you. And my friend got the point and said, you're right. And she thanked me for that $50 gift card from Kroger. Now, that's not going to solve her problems. But at that moment, I wanted to do something for my friend. And so April Mason and her commenters are correct. Sometimes strong, independent women believe that accepting help makes them less than strong and independent. Listen, if the only thing standing in your way of being a strong, independent woman is a gift card, a ride, child support, a free meal, then maybe you need to rethink your language. Now, I accepted the meals, the child support, gift cards, bottles of wine. I walked through doors that well-meaning men held open for me. And guess what? I'm still a strong and independent woman. And I say thank you for all of those. If a man holds the door open for me, I say thank you. I appreciate you allowing me to go first. That does not make me less than. I don't consider myself an incredibly feminine woman just because I let a man hold the door open for me. I actually like it. Doors are dirty. But I don't agree with April Mason's when she says being called strong and independent is not a compliment. To me, it is. Now, this is interesting. I don't actually have a lot of people calling me strong and independent unless we're having a conversation about it. It just don't really come up in my life like that. But I know that I am, and I know that people view me as such by the way they treat me, by the things that they say to me. I don't know that I've had a whole lot of people say, you're a strong, independent woman. No, but there are other things that they say that make me believe that they believe that, and I know that I am. But if calling yourself strong and independent makes you feel low, then please remove that from your self-description. Honey, whatever works for you. Now, April Mason and I agree on another thing. She said in the post that if being soft and feminine isn't your thing, then the message isn't for you. Not everything is for everyone. That's just not your tribe. Her tribe is not my tribe, even though we do share a lot of similar values. I'm just not into that. That's not my thing. I have no ill will toward April Mason, not that she knows me, even though she is in Metro Atlanta, and I might even want to have her on the show one day if she's interested. I think there's room for all types of women. Those who want to be soft and feminine, those of us who are strong and independent. We don't have to compete. We're all still women. Honey, find your space and live your truth. Now, as 48 rears its head in a few days, I'm good. Actually, I'm like Mary J. Blige says in the theme song for my life. I'm just fine. Because I like what I see when I'm looking at me, when I'm walking past the mirror. Don't stress through the night at a time in my life. Ain't worried about if you feel it. Got my head on straight. I got my vibe right. I ain't gonna let you kill it. You see, I wouldn't change my life. My life's just fine. Meet me on the other side of 45's podcast, website, Instagram, Facebook, and now TikTok. New episodes will be released every Monday. Thank you for tuning in. Please rate the podcast 5 stars on Apple Podcasts so others can find it. It helps me grow my podcast and also share it with other people. Your feedback and support, appreciated. Now, if you want to share your story and be a guest on the podcast, please email me at host, HOST, at theothersideof45.com. Until next time.